ready, Hefe? All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Shin Gear. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world-famous Andy Shaver. This no music deal really had me screwed because usually I get a second.
Nope, no music.
I was preparing for that. I was doing the football picks from last week.
No music today. Had severe weather out here, so something's going on with our shit, but we'll get it squared away.
With us today from Denver, Colorado, former NFL linebacker, former Minnesota Viking, former USC Trojans, and a wildlife photographer, Mr. Cam Smith. Cam, how you doing, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here again. And yeah, it should be fun.
We're excited to have you. There's a lot going on kind of everywhere right now. So you're in Colorado. What do you feel about Coach Prime? And I know you're an SC boy and they play in 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think so. We were just talking about that. There's a couple, like I said, I'm working out at this gym and I do some photo work for them too. And, but there's some CU alum and, it's funny to talk about it because we were chatting about the game coming up and someone had mentioned like, oh, Colorado's never beaten USC. I'm like, you've never beaten USC ever? Like, and you guys want to talk about like a rivalry? I'm like, this is not a this is nothing here. But you know, to tell you the truth, I think I hear some people chatting about, you know, maybe the negatives that it brings, and it's kind of changed the whole scope of college football. It's actually kind of created the way that he's gathered this team and created this team is almost very elite, very professional, like cutting people and bringing other guys and really building a team. And to tell you the truth, I think I see both sides. I see anybody who wants to gripe on it and not be all that happy and, oh, you're changing college football, you're changing amateur football or amateur sports. It's like, sure, whatever. But in the end, he's making it exciting. And I think it seems like the players love playing for him. They seem like they're having fun. The only thing that I have that my argument in my head is when it comes around is those teams don't last in the end when they're just fighting on emotion. You know, they're talking about what it's going to look like when they come and play SC. It's like, well, we're not talking about the first half. We're talking about the second half because you can totally rely on hype and just pure emotion in the first half. When that second half comes around, there's a better team. And right now, I think USC is. I mean, we got a long ways to go, but USC seems like even a more complete team than they were last year. So that's my argument in my head. But
do you think that USC will be held to under 63 points by Colorado's defense? Because I don't think they will. I don't think so either. I think we're looking at 70 to 50 maybe.
70 to 50.
That's what there'll be over 100 points scored in that game, I think.
Has there ever been a spread where Vegas is like, yeah, the spread's 110 points?
No, because there's usually not two high-scoring offenses that play together. I don't think Colorado's offense will be able to score on a good defense. Now, I don't know if USC's got a good defense, but they have a damn good offense. And maybe as good offense as they've had since Reggie Bush was there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that you know, it's easy. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's some hype on some kids there, and I feel like when you have one or two weapons and you got a kid who's playing 120 snaps in a game, like I look at that as more dangerous than anything. You know, and at the position and you know, I guess as the year goes on, it becomes a little bit easier because he did it in Texas, like he did it at TCU, put 120 snaps, like. All right, that's pretty scary to me. I probably wouldn't want that for that kid. But, you know, I think when you do that, you eventually figure out a way to take him away. And then, you know, I don't see them turning around and putting up enough points to on a solid defense. Because even TCU has shown their lack of skill or lack of defense and lack of power on the defense. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes. But to me, it's exciting to watch a new team have some hype around. That's all I can really say. Yeah. I'm all for that.
If Colorado is 5-0 after week 5, they're legit Final Four team.
Yeah.
If they're 5-0, I don't think they're 5-0.
What if they're 4-1? What if they drop SC and beat Oregon?
If they're going to lose to one of them, they're going to lose to Oregon and not. I mean, they'll beat Oregon and not. Oregon's not going to beat.
Okay, so say they're 4-1.
They're still not legit.
Still not
No.
legit in your mind.
No offense, I just don't think the Pac-12 is that good. I think the Pac-12 is very overrated. They're
You don't say no offense. That's why it's disintegrating after this year.
yeah.
There is no Pac-12 after this year.
Yeah, I just don't think they're that good. I think SC is by far the creme de la creme, and I don't know. SC's got a great offense, but I don't know how if SC played in the SEC, how many games they would win because they have to play really, really. Their offense would have to be really good. So we'll see. They've got a good team this year. Hats off to the people that Oklahoma hate. They can't stand Lincoln Riley. I'm telling you right now, I read a deal today where Lincoln Riley was talking about how he had to get his family out of Norman because of the death threats. Now,
Really?
Norman, Oklahoma is a liberal shithole like San Francisco and Austin, Texas these days with the way they're doing shit. So I really wouldn't worry too much about getting your ass whooped in the land of liberal utopia.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think he seemed to have made a good move. I think that I'm going back for the Utah game on the 21st of October, right before I head back to Missouri, and as an alumni, it's exciting to watch. There's a lot more excitement, and he's walked in and changed the game. He's changed USC, and he's kind of almost made it today's version of what we all knew and loved about USC. And so that's kind of because I hate when people talk about let's go back to the Pete Carroll era. It's like that era is gone and it'll never happen again. Like no, you can't replicate that. That's not something we should try and replicate it again. It's gone. But the way that he's doing it right now, it's like he's making it fun to be there again, and he's making it fun to watch football. And I texted my dad after I saw the score to the Stanford game last week, and I go, we haven't SC hasn't beat Stanford 63 or whatever, 63 to 3 in as many years as I can remember. I mean, it was every time we go play Stanford, it was like, get your teeth ready. Like we're going to go and we're going to battle it out. It's going to be 24-7, 27, something like that. And to see 63 to 3, I was like, that is good. That's good football right there. Like just nothing, I don't know. So I feel like it's just fun to see where they're at right now. And I think he made a great move leaving Norman, I guess.
I saw that Dion, the game Colorado-Nebraska got 8.7 million views, and the Texas-Alabama game got 8.8 million views.
I don't believe.
What did you say? What was the views on the Colorado-Nebraska?
Colorado-Nebraska was 8.7, and Alabama-Texas was 8.8. This is official. Like this is according to Fox, and that's according to ESPN.
That surprises me because, Texas though, let's be honest, Texas is divided into 18 different fucking colleges. It's not like it's just a one school deal. Colorado, they got one school. They either smoke pot or watch the Buffaloes.
No,
in Nebraska, they combine corn or watch Nebraska. That's a big base, though, right there. And then they got all the interest on the outside, people like us that watch the game. But you're drawing every person in Denver, and you're drawing every person in Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas. All those people are big Husker fans. You get all of those watching the game. But
it was a national phenomenon.
No, it is. But I'm saying you take Texas and Alabama. Alabama's split between Auburn and Bama. Texas is split between all the different colleges.
Yeah, but you got all those people that want to see Alabama lose.
Yeah, but everybody
tunes in to watch that.
Well, there was
how good was that to watch?
It was a freaking great game.
Oh, I love it.
Texas throttled their ass.
I can't. Fuck yeah, but I don't really. I think they're going to watch them turn around and get smoked next week.
Well,
that's the kind of shit that Steve Sarkisian and Texas does. Is they'll come out and play their best game ever, and then get absolutely throttled the following weekend by a no-name team.
Fucking Iowa State or Baylor will beat us. It happens every fucking year.
Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Let's don't go on Tech.
Texas
Tech got beat by the most unathletic college team in America, which is Wyoming. They had the other day. I watched the Wyoming game the other day just to look. I counted. On offense, they had one black guy. You can't win football and have one black guy play offense. I don't give a shit who you are.
And he was the guard, I think.
Yeah,
he wasn't even the skill position.
Yeah. Every running back, quarterback, wide receiver was white. That's a prime recipe to not go to a bowl game.
Hey, but they play hard football, and they don't stop until the whistle's blown.
Very political answer there.
Yeah, but and then we had to play him in Laramie and all this other
Junkies.
shit. You know, that's a tough place to play in Laramie.
I have a feeling that SC better
crowd.
enjoy it this year, because if Mike McCartney does not win a Super Bowl, which I do not think he will.
Mike McCarthy?
McCarthy, whatever, the Cowboy coach. It's McCarthy.
It is McCarthy.
McCarthy, if he doesn't win a Super Bowl this year, the Cowboys are going to hire Lincoln Riley.
I don't see. I don't know. I don't see. Why would you want to leave USC?
He's a Texas kid.
What does he make? What does he make? $12 million a year.
Yeah, but Jerry Jones would pay him $20 million a year. It wouldn't. That's chump change to Jerry. But he's a Texas kid. If he wants to come back and have the ultimate, I hate the Dallas Cowboys. If Dallas Cowboys were playing Ukraine, the Taliban, whoever it was, I'm going for them fuckers over the Cowboys. But that's the greatest job in football, is to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
I completely disagree with you.
I would hate it.
I think going and having Jerry Jones breathing around your neck would be the worst thing ever in football.
Yeah.
Is to have that motherfucker talking about what you have to do to be a coach and how you're supposed to coach your team. This is not the 80s anymore.
I agree on that.
To be quite
That's why
honest
he
with
gets.
you, I would be.
That's why he gets yes men for that head coaching job.
Yeah, but he's
like
fixing,
he never
he's fixing,
anybody
that's
that he's
exactly right. There's
anybody that he's ever had. Jimmy Johnson didn't last but for a little bit because they butted heads. Bill Parcells didn't last but for a little bit. He only gets guys that are going to go along with what Jerry has to say about things.
Jerry's fixing to get run out of the NFL now.
Why?
Jerry Jones and the Buffalo Bills owner are both in big trouble.
What'd they do?
The Buffalo Bills owner told somebody, some black guy, that if Black Lives Matter people didn't like it, they could always go back to Africa, where that they think things are so much better in Africa than go to Africa. Jerry Jones supposedly is caught on the same hot mic that said if black people don't like the way he does stuff and who he hires, then they can buy their own damn football team. Now, I agree with both owners. If you don't like it, now I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about people in general. If you don't like our country, go fucking somewhere else. If it's so bad here, why is everybody trying to break down our borders to get here? First. Second, if you don't like who a guy hires, he's a billionaire. If you don't like how he hires, then buy your own fucking team. That's his team. He spent billions of dollars for it. The guys that paid $6 billion for the Washington Redskins, they ought to be able to hire who they want for a coach. If they want to hire a bisexual, transgender, small person to be their coach, that's their money. They can buy whatever they want to do. Mm-hmm. But Jerry Jones and this Buffalo Bills guy are on a serious deal, and they said that's why the John Gruden they don't want to go to court with John Gruden.
What are you? I don't understand what you're getting at here.
Jerry
We're
Jones,
talking about how the Cowboys coach would be an awful position.
Jerry
to have.
Jones maybe is fixing to be out as the Cowboys owner.
That ain't gonna happen.
I don't. You've seen
What's it gonna do with the Cowboys?
Steven Jones will take it over. But yes, I do agree with you on coaching for Jerry Jones. You want to coach, you want to be, as an owner, you want somebody like to work for Robert Kraft that lets you do your thing and doesn't ever bother nobody.
That's why I don't think Lincoln Riley will leave USC, because you have this. You've seen when I don't know his full history, so I'm not going to start pulling facts out. But when's the last time he's been in the NFL? I think regardless, that is a big deal to certain coaches and certain individuals, as they don't see coaching in the NFL as something that they would be either have as much fun doing or have the same success, because you're dealing with grown men that don't want to hear shit. Yeah. Like that's why Jim Harbaugh is still at Michigan, because he went to San Francisco. They as soon as he left, they were like, I'm done listening to that guy, because he's a goofy guy. But when you have turnover every 4 years and you have young kids that are coming in just trying to soak it up, Jim Harbaugh can do whatever he wants, and he can tell you the same story 20 times in a row, and you're like, oh, this is great. But by the time you're leaving, you're like, I'm over him. I'm done. So it's the same thing with like a Lincoln Riley. It's like I have these kids. I'm in LA. I have these kids that I get to recruit. I get to have a part of their family and everything that's growing up, and then I don't have to deal with imagine if he got the greatest part of Kyler Murray before he got exposed, the greatest part of Baker Mayfield before he got exposed, and now he's getting the best part of Caleb Williams before he goes and becomes the first number 1 overall draft pick or whatever it is, and he gets to take that again and just keep having success with it. It's like, and in the school that when USC is going to be, if he allows them to start winning at a high level in the Big Ten, they're going to give him whatever he wants. wherever. I mean, we're talking about Hollywood, we're talking about LA,
Right.
and it's like, why would you go to a program that has so much buzz, or not a program, an organization that has so much negative buzz around it that they cannot do? The Cowboys are always the most hated team walking in. Everyone hates them, and yet you're going to want to go there and coach because you're going to get paid a little bit of money, and also potentially watch your career just fade away as you're dealing with a guy that, you know, has just run coaches out like it's nothing. I feel like I don't see Lincoln Riley ever going into the NFL unless he's like, I'm bored or I have a scandal coming and I'm gonna get out and skate, just like Pete Carroll did. I don't see him ever having a reason to leave and go to the NFL. Some people are just really thrive in college.
Saban.
He doesn't have any background he doesn't have any background in the NFL. He grew up in Muleshoe, Texas. He went to Texas Tech. Mike Leach saw him come out to the football team and said, "Son, you can't play football, but you'd be a hell of a coach.
You'll be a better coach."
And he became a graduate assistant, and then he went to Oklahoma with somebody and was an assistant there. And Tech had a chance to hire him, but they hired
Kingsbury.
No, they hired somebody. It was before King. It was after Kingsbury. The guy that's at the senator now, Tuberville.
Oh,
I think they hired Tuberville instead of him.
Everybody loved the Tuberville
because he was at Oklahoma with Stoops. Right?
Yes,
that was the previous coach to him was Stoops. Bob Stoops.
Right? Yeah, 15 and 16 he was in Oklahoma. Well, he was in 15. Okay. 15 to 16, he was the OC quarterback coach, and then 2017 to 2021, he was the head coach. So
I think that they kind of pushed Stoops out. I think they knew Stoops was about to retire and kind of forced him to retire so they could hire him because they was afraid someone else was going to gobble him up.
Right. So, what's the record of the most Heisman Trophy winners under a coach?
Probably, it's got to be close to Lincoln Riley.
Coming up on it. It's coming up.
What about John McKay?
Yeah, I mean,
he coached 400 years.
11 or 10, 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean, all them SC backs back in the day all played for him.
Yeah, I think they have maybe 3 or 4.
How many Saban have? Saban's got a bunch.
I'm trying to find.
Yeah, he's got some running backs too.
Devontae Smith, Derrick Henry, somebody else won.
Trent Richardson.
Yeah.
Mark Ingram. Did he win?
I think for about 5-6 years in a row, it seemed like Alabama. Then it went to Oklahoma.
I'm getting schools. So Ohio State has the most, but I'm trying to find a list that it breaks it down by coach. Ohio State has 7. Oklahoma has 7. Notre Dame has 7. Alabama only has 4.
And they've won them all in the last couple of years.
Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, Devontae Smith, Bryce Young. I'll find a breakdown of the coaches. Oklahoma had...
Alabama never had one under Bear Bryant. That's amazing.
Alabama had Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray in the last little bit. So I'll try to find a list.
I think it'll be... Because going back to your point, just kind of beating a dead horse at this point, I'm watching a little clip of the Cowboys on TV, and you're going to go into a place where you might not even have a quarterback next year.
That's true.
How many people want Dak Prescott out of there? I mean, how many years are you going to have does he ever win a playoff game?
Yeah, I think he won one.
So unless he walks in and says, okay, I get to draft Caleb Williams, then we'll go. But it's like, there's no guarantee of that. And they're not a bad enough team to have a number 1 overall pick.
No, they're a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
They trade away.
They're legit. They're a legit Super Bowl contender this year because their defense. But Dak will find a way to fuck that all up.
You think so?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, come on, we're talking about the Cowboys.
They're fixing to. I think Dak's fixing to get an extension for $52 or $55 million a year, a 3-year extension.
Didn't he just sign an extension?
Well, but they're having to. They're going to restructure his contract to do it again. They can't get enough of him.
Oh, God.
That's Jerry's problem as an owner. Now, I hate the Cowboys, but I don't think Dak's as bad as everybody does it. Then when I watch him, I think he's not very good. He's really not. But Jerry Jones falls in love with players, and he gives them more money than they need, and he signs them to long-term contracts. He did that with Zeke, and that killed him. Mm-hmm. And he's got to pay Micah a bunch of money.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of money. Micah,
he's going to pay a lot.
Micah is like LT back in LT's days. The only difference is they can't block him. They can't block him like they could LT. They can't chip at him, and I don't understand. If I was playing Micah Parsons, I'd have somebody hit him from the side on every fucking play. Every play. I don't give a shit where he lined up. Somebody chip him in the side and the hip, hit him every time he fucking moves. How when you played in the NFL, who was the worst shit talker that you played with?
Phillip Rivers. Played with or played against?
Phillip Rivers talked. Yeah, he was real competitive.
He throws a temper tantrum anytime,
and he doesn't cuss either.
He doesn't.
So he'll hit you with it.
That would be funny.
He has like meanings to shit. We would get before games. We'd hear, "Don't talk to 12, so don't talk to Aaron Rodgers." Like that was like he thrived off of people talking shit to him. And then it was Phillip Rivers. Do not talk to him. When he talks to you, you look away and you don't say anything because he's good at it. He thrives on it. And he'll like make you feel like shit. He'll come at you. He'll come at you from an angle. You're like, damn.
And he didn't even drop a cuss word.
Talk about my mom like that. Yeah. And he won't even call. Yeah, nothing. There's I think those ones that are like intelligent with it too are like, yikes. Like I'm gonna stay away from you.
Did you see
poopy stick?
Did you see the episode of Hard Knocks where that kid hit Rodgers a little late? I mean, 5 steps, pretty late. And Rodgers like, I don't even know who the fuck you are. And that guy's like, well, I don't know who you are. And Rod's like, bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it goes, yeah.
Well, Phillip Rivers was going to be the 49ers had said that if they would have beaten the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, they were going to bring Phillip Rivers into quarterback for them in the Super Bowl. Now, that would have been a hell of an end of a career. Be retired for 2 years and then come back and get a play in the Super Bowl and start.
Everything would have been completely different if the Niners ended up playing fully in that game. I think it would have been, I mean, let alone just a much more interesting game to watch. But I mean, they looked like they had a good team and they were ready to go. If they had somebody who could throw the ball more than 10 yards,
they look good now.
Yep. Yeah, they're good.
Before we get into duck hunting, and we're talking football now, who are your picks to win?
There we go.
Who are your picks to win the Super Bowl this year, or to go?
It's so hard. I think through and through, I'm a Vikings fan. Like that is my team. That has become my team. Going back there again this year, it's like, man, this organization is just hard for me not to root for. But I think that there could be some sneaky teams in there. And I don't know about this is going to push your question off pretty far, but I think the Jaguars can make a run at it. They seem like not at the Super Bowl, but like into the playoffs.
No, I'm not laughing.
That's Jeff's pick to go to the Super Bowl.
I'm not laughing at you. I picked them last week to win the Super Bowl on here. That's my Super Bowl pick, and I got so much shit over that. They are the same recipe of a team. They've got Dougie P, who took Philadelphia to the Super Bowl. They play in a sorry-ass division. They're getting a good chance to have a first-round bye in the playoffs and home field advantage the whole time. I'm taking them.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad you said that.
I think that their offense, I think Calvin really adds so much to their offense.
Man.
And I think that he's already showing like that he's kind of back, almost like a year off, like really helped him. But yeah, I think I don't know who I don't really honestly know much about the NFL these days. I try and keep my, it's just being to tell what I watch on my day to day is actually like motocross and supercross. I don't know if you guys watch that at all, but it is so much fun, and I just I've like fully become a fan of that, and that's like all I can say I'm a fan of. I've never really been a fan of football, just more than just like to like be able to hold a conversation. But now it's kind of like every time I watch it, I'm just like, I don't even know what's going on, who these players are anymore.
Well,
follow the guys that I played with, and that's about it.
Kirk Cousins come off really good from that show Quarterback on Netflix. What a really nice guy. Seemed like a really wholesome, good person.
You know what? I've heard that from anybody who watched it, followed up with, I gained a lot of respect for Kirk Cousins. And I think it's funny because I think you see him in you don't know somebody as a person, and maybe you had him on your fantasy league, or you're a fan of the Vikings or the Redskins or whatever it may be, or whatever football team. And you walk away and you don't see him as an individual or a person, and you don't like him because you're like, well, he didn't win this game, or he's not very good in the fourth quarter. It's like, he's a human being.
Yeah.
Like he's actually, people ask me who my favorite person I've ever played with, and it's a lot of times I say it's Kirk, because he just has the ability to connect and come over and act like he cares about you. And that's the biggest thing. It's like whether he does truly or he's just acting, but it's like for you to be so involved in my life and where I'm from and already have some answers to that before you come up to me. It's like I have so much respect for him, and I'm glad that that show represented him in that way, because I think a lot of people became a fan of him after seeing him like really be a human being and a real person.
And he's everywhere.
He's tough as nails too.
Oh yeah, he's tough. And I haven't watched that show because everyone, like, people have asked me, "Oh, you'd be watched?" And I go, "I can't listen to Patrick Mahomes' voice for more than 5 episodes or 5 minutes. I can't do it. It's driving me nuts." So
listen to his wife.
I mean, or his wife or his brother, or like he ruins it for me.
Patrick seems like a really nice guy. His wife seems like she's a lot of work, but he seemed to be very good around people around him. What I like about Patrick Mahomes is he loves where he's from. I've never seen a pro football player that puts his alma mater on a pedestal like he does. He's the greatest advertisement for Texas Tech in the whole world.
But I think it's because he came from a shitty alma mater. Like, you got to work to be a Tech fan. I graduated from Tech. Like, it's easy to go back to USC. Like, yeah, it's fucking Hollywood. It's great. Let's go there. Like, you got to work to be a Red Raider fan.
Tech's a good school.
We're a spring sports school now. We're good at baseball.
But he's very proud that he went to Tech.
Yeah.
And everybody in fucking West Texas is a Chief fan now because of him. But his wife, God almighty, woof. She make you turn the TV off fast.
Yeah, he's a superstar.
Yeah.
Like not just the football player superstar. He's a worldwide. He's like a LeBron James kind of, like everybody in the world knows him. And to be able to remain, a little bit constant or level headed is, I would only assume, pretty tough, especially when you have some cancerous type people around you. But he does. I couldn't watch it because I don't like him as an individual. I just couldn't stand his voice. But him as an individual, I think he's done a heck of a job of remaining, level-headed and someone to easily be a fan of.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having his mom as your kid's teacher in school? I think she's a teacher in a little town where they're from.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Patrick Mahomes' mom's my teacher. Them kids eat that shit up.
Yeah.
Hey, so there's a lot of buzz going on right now about getting rid of AstroTurf. A lot of players hate it. What did you feel about it? Do you feel like it increased injuries?
Let's see. I don't know. I think the numbers back it up, I guess, but I think you should have, like, I don't really understand why you wouldn't have every stadium in America with just nice sod. Like, when you run out and you're on grass, it's like, oh, this feels good.
Mm-hmm.
It smells good. It's, it's just brings you to football. But I don't understand why it's not. I think it's pretty cheap, but I think that what's unfortunate is that it happened week 1, because they're not going to rip their turf out and put in sod like for at least until next year. So there's no way of making that happen, because it's just physically not possible to allow this grass to connect and be rooted in. So it's going to be, if any more injuries come down, it's going to be like the AstroTurfing business in the sporting world is going to be gone. So if you own a business there, you better be hoping that it's going to be taken off in the backyards and your front yards, because you will not be on football fields or so I don't know. We always hated playing on turf. We had our inside, even with the Vikings, we had our inside field was on turf, but then our outdoor stuff would all be on grass. And so we would try to do as little as possible to be on, to be on that turf, because of everyone's backs would hurt, your knees hurt. Coaches are like complaining because they have to just stand on it. It's just less forgiving. And so I get the thought. I get, like, let's play on, the best of the best, because it's, in the end, like you heard, again, it's going to be an Aaron Rodgers type person to change the whole thing.
Right.
Whether that was truthfully it or not, it looked a little bit like it got stuck in there. So yeah, maybe.
His foot had nowhere to go when that defender was on his back. Like, I think if it was grass, his foot would have been able to slide out from under him a little bit instead of just being caught in that position. And snapping.
Yeah.
This is the problem we're going to have, though. The Dallas Cowboys spent $2 billion building a stadium. There's no way to put grass in there that I can think of. It's not like Arizona that's got a track that's going to go in and out. The SoFi in LA, is that grass or is that turf?
Grass.
That is grass?
Yeah.
So it's a retractable roof then.
Yes.
And in LA, you don't even need a roof, but you have one. But there's so many. Is Minnesota's new stadium indoor? Is it an indoor?
Turf.
But
it's turf.
But it's a dome, right?
But it has a big window that can open up and you get sun on it.
Well, that would work then. That's the deal is some of these stadiums, like the Cowboys Stadium, I don't know how they would put grass in there.
You're telling me that they can set up for a Metallica or a Kiss concert, but they can't figure out a way to fucking put grass in there?
If you bring grass in there and you layer it down, it's not going to be growing in there. Like in Arizona, it's growing grass. It's a field.
They got a retractable roof in Dallas.
Okay, well then that answered that question.
There's no lights, no lighting sources, like artificial lighting sources that'll grow.
Of course there are.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
People grow pot and fucking their basement all over the place, so I guess you can. Exactly. But I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. They're going to have to figure out how to do that shit. And so, you might want to call Manuel, who's been baking or cooking or building pot in his basement, and figure out how to do it and have him come in there and put some grass in for you. But that's going to be the biggest logistics on it, is having to do things different. But if you're going to invest that much money in a football player, if a team, especially Woody Johnson at New York, you're worth billions of dollars. Why pay all them guys money and just it helps your players by putting grass in down there? So that's the way to go. Yeah. Let's switch over and let's talk duck hunting now. Where's your next trip to go take pictures?
So we have I've been setting up for we have a project coming up called the Angler's Dream. My buddy and I, he played football at Kansas State. So we're going to travel. We're actually going to fly fish. It's October 3rd through probably the 13th or so. It's we're going to go from starting in Colorado, push west, go into Utah, push up into Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and back down, and just fish the whole all 5 of those states. And the story is just kind of this transition from sports into the real world, I guess, just kind of figuring out a way and how we use the outdoors, how the outdoor space has been kind of a pivotal piece into becoming real life people again and figuring out our dream and what we want to be. And so that's my most recent photography project. And then I'll be in Missouri for duck season this year again, kind of doing the same thing I did last year. I'm capturing people's experiences and their hunts and kind of treating it almost more like a wedding photographer would to a wedding. So that'll be my duck season this year. And I have a bunch of projects. I'm kind of have some thoughts rolling around and kind of what the future holds for me and where I see myself and where, I just want to continue to grow in this space and so we can keep going on that if you guys are interested. But that's kind of what I have planned for the rest of the year.
All right. Now a lot of your stuff on Instagram is black and white. Is that something new that you found, or is that something that you kind of, because you don't see a whole lot of that in the space? So did you recognize that and like, hey, let's go black and white on a lot of this stuff, or was that just a happy accident?
Yeah, when I was in Minnesota, shooting with the team there, that was a big growth moment in a lot of ways for me. Just being around Andy Canutis, who's the team photographer there, and he's just so good at what he does, and his artistic abilities, his creative, and like his kind of mindset on everything as well. So that was where I really spent so much time, like kind of just honing in on his mental space and where he is, and his flow, I guess would make sense too. So anyway, when I had been kind of like a passion or an interest for black and white, but I always just was like, you can't post this because not everyone is like, how am I going to get work when people only see my black and white stuff? And they don't like, can you even do color? Because not every company wants that. And so I really said, fuck them. That's what I pretty much, I was like, I'm done doing, because that's in the end, you listen to any like successful or happy, not even happy, but like in the artistic space, if you don't produce for yourself and you're not creating for yourself, then you're going to be miserable because you're just going to chase everyone's narrative and what they want. And it's such a subjective, piece of like whether somebody likes it or not. So I'm just like, I'm over thinking about what somebody else would like. And I'm just like, this black and white stuff is what I enjoy. And I also recognize that there's not a lot of people that do very good black and whites in the outdoor space. So it's just kind of something that to mix things up, trying to be a little bit different and unique, and also in that be myself. So.
Is it harder doing black and white because, you don't really have a whole lot to fall back on if everything's not dialed in, like lighting and, all that stuff?
I wouldn't say it's harder, but I think that there's less to save it.
Right.
But I think since I've shot more black and white, you see a lot more in the shadows and you see a lot more in the highlights. And that is, to me, like lighting is everything that makes your photo, other than composition and just like actual uniqueness of the shot. But I think for me, I see black and white creates the simplicity of it, where it's about this, how you compose the shot, plus again the shadows and the highlights and actually what's going on. It doesn't get stolen from the color. Mm. And so many people, I think, they do so much on the editing side of things with, especially young, inexperienced photographers, where they just see that clarity slider and they're just freaking throwing it to 100. See that D-Haze slider and they throw it to 100, and it's like, cool, I'm done. It's like, ugh, yikes, bud. Like, you got a lot more to figure out there. So I just see the black and white as like finding a way of just creating more of an organic, but like allowing it to really pop and stand out. So I wouldn't say everybody can do a black and white. And I've seen some people that really think that their black and whites are cool, and I try not to be the kind of guy who shits on everybody about that. But I'm like, no, I think that you're still missing stuff. So
right,
just having fun with it, and we'll see where it goes during duck season. Again, because I'm shooting for clients, I won't obviously do more. I won't give them black and whites. I'll just kind of save that for my own page. But yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, like everything's got to be there. Like, like you said, people that shoot in color, like there's a lot of things that can save it if everything's not dialed in. You can get to the editing process and tweak this and that, and you can make a good picture. But like if there's one element that's out of whack on a black and white photo, like it's fucked.
It gets exposed. Yeah.
Yeah. You're just done with it. There's nothing you can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally, I like the black and white. Like, I like what you got going on with
Thank
that.
You.
Like, I'm looking at them now on Instagram, and like, but that's kind of my vibe. I'm kind of like an older, old soul. So, that black and white stuff, I dig it.
Yeah, I think, it's not for everybody. And I think that, trying to go running off of that, like everything that's going on with AI, I was talking about this yesterday with another creative, and everything that's going on with AI and this like robotic fake stuff, I think you're going to see more. There's a time and a place for that, whether like for a podcast, I'm sure you can type in and it's like really nice and very simple, and it breaks down like what you want, and it's going to make cuts, and that's cool. But when you start doing it on Photoshop and you start typing in, and it's all just fake stuff. I think you're going to see more creatives go the opposite way and be like, you know what, I'm going back to film. I'm going back to 35 millimeter, and I'm going to go back to just no retouching of black and whites. And so that for me is a big part of this. The simplicity of just being real, authentic, and organic, and being like more old school than anything. Like being able to have my dad look at it and be like, that's a photo that I saw when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I respect that. It's not computer generated. It's not fake. It's not something that no one's ever seen before. And there's art to that too, but I want the other way. So I agree with that.
I like the substance and the realism of content pictures more than I do a bunch of dead birds. I think it tells such a story. Like your picture of the guy, it looks like he's working on a water well or something, and I think it's for boot company. Mm-hmm. You can see how miserable that man is. Water, cold, it tells a story. You got a picture of one of the Habitat flight guides in a book. Is that Arliss that you have a picture of? that's in the blind.
Where is it?
It's on. It's a habitat platform. You got a bunch of pheasants grouped together. You got 4 pictures in a row. You got somebody walking in flooded corn, holding some mallards with their hands up, and then the next picture over, is that Arliss there?
I don't see what you're talking about.
That
here.
picture right there.
No, that's not Arliss.
Okay,
but I don't see that on here.
it's on this. It's on that span right there. If you go over, there's 4 pictures in a row on that one.
Fucking far down into his feed did you go?
December 11th of last year.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't see that picture that you're talking about there.
But people love pictures of misery, whether it's miserable or not. Because that guy's not miserable. He's sitting in a waterfowl blind. He's sitting in a duck blind. He's having the time of his life. But it tells a story that people can relate to, because everyone is set in a blind that's listening to this podcast just about and has been colder than shit, cold down to your spine. But a duck comes and you forget you're cold as soon as you hear that quack or the whistle of them freaking wings. And people that have never got to experience that sound of them, you don't know what you're missing. It's the greatest sound in the world. I mean, like when in the morning at dark, even when we go teal hunting and you hear that buzz come by in the morning, that's the greatest thing in the world, because it just automatically you forget about everything else.
Yeah, there was a hunt that last year that spoke to me so much. It was we woke up and it was completely white out, like snow. It snowed all night. It was snowing all day, and it was like it was just a complete. It was like Christmas. It was waking up to Christmas Day. Like just completely white covered snow cap and like just snow's coming down, but it was like you weren't cold because them birds were everywhere.
Right.
Like I hunted with 3 blinds that day. I went out because I was taking pictures of clients. So I came out. We finished by 8. The group of 6, whatever. Then I went and hunted at Love with Tony, and I was like, I'm not done. This is like the greatest day of my life. And the whole time, if the birds weren't coming, like I would have been cold as hell. But it was like you just don't even think about it. You're just like, this is so. You just take these days, and so to speak to that. Yes, like there are people that haven't experienced it, they don't understand it, and it's like it's hard for me to describe to you. It's hard for anyone to describe to somebody that hasn't experienced it without being there and experiencing it. Like there is misery in the duck blind, but that's the best part, because when those ducks do come and you see them do it right, it's like, man, this is what we do it for. That's why we're here, and why we're putting in the work and the effort, and misery, and so yeah. But back to your point, I think we talked about it last time. The pile pictures they're so meaningless. They're so just to show the success of it. It's like, why? There's so many better things to tell your story than to show how many birds you killed that day. Yeah. And it ruins it for non-hunters too.
Yeah, it's just a dick measuring thing is all it is.
Yeah, the non-hunter doesn't get it, but kind of like, I don't know shit about pottery, but if you showed me a pottery wheel and some ladies or guys' hands full of mud and clay and stuff around them, and it's on their apron and stuff, I understand. I can understand what it is. But you just showed me a picture of a fucking vase. It's just a fucking vase.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what you did to go through that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think people are getting wise to it. Like I think creators are getting wise to it, because I still see some pile pics on Instagram, but it's not like it was 6-7 years ago. They're there, but not like it was.
Well,
not in volume.
I don't think you can be a creative and just post pile pictures. There's nothing creative there. So I think when you have a decent amount of people looking at your content, it's like if you're not getting creative with your imagery, it's like there's other people out here that are doing that stuff. So it's like even posting, a grip and grin or a pile photo, it's like find better ways to show that, or else you're probably not, or you're not succeeding at what you're trying to accomplish here. So I think that's the bars being a little bit pushed, which not nearly as much as other industries. Which that's a bone that I have yet to really truly pick with the industry.
Yeah.
And probably why I'm trying to put my foot out and go somewhere else, do something a little bit different, because it's kind of driving me nuts.
There's a lot of things that are driving me nuts about it right now. Like, you semi good looking in a big set of cans, and like you can have whatever you want in this industry.
You don't even have to have big cans.
Right.
That's so amazing to like being a woman in the outdoor space. You have it all.
Yes.
And you don't even have to know
Nope.
shit. And you can just hunt with somebody that does, or you can be like, which I don't have anything wrong with this, because I think it kind of opens us up to a new space and a new category, but like 24/7. These people are everything to the duck hunting world. Why? Like, cool. Like, they make rap songs and cool. It's like, but other than that, it's like they have this. They're at the forefront of everything right now. And I kind of like it because it opens it up to. They're bringing a lot of people.
Yeah, they're bringing different people in,
and they're introducing people to the hunting space. So I'm like, that is awesome.
Yep.
That's what we need as hunters, is more people to hunt. So I'm like, but I think it's funny. Like, you see, women and Black people as well are definitely thriving in this industry because we've just seen more of it. And I'm not against it. It's interesting to see the success that they have because of the uniqueness and the diversity to it. So,
yeah.
But again, I appreciate it.
I am all for women hunting. I am all for it. We need everybody that we can get. The things that 24/7's doing, bringing more people in, bringing more Black people into the industry, I'm all for it. Whether or not, I'm a big fan of what you're doing, that's beside the point. I appreciate everybody taking the effort to bring more people in. Women, 24/7 guys, they're doing a great job of adding more people to the pie. Now, to women, it is way easier to make it on Instagram and in the hunting world and in the outdoor world, period, than it is for your guy that has been hunting for 15 years and has mastered his craft. Because like you said, you can tag on to somebody that knows what they're doing, take the picture at the end or get the shot that you need, and then all of a sudden, that feeds the fire that's going on their social media. So, and another hot take that I'm going to say, and this one might get me in hot water.
Oh, I can't wait
but
to hear
I'm ready
this.
for it. It's way easier for a woman to make it in any industry, I would say. Now, you're going to have to put up with a lot of shit, and here's what I'm going to go to. You see a guy, he's busted his ass his entire life, and he gets himself a nice fucking boat. He's got women all on it that didn't do shit but look good in a bikini. And they're on the same boat at the same party, drinking the same champagne. So, I'm not dogging on women, but
Sounds that way to me. Like
I'm
you
not
are.
dogging on them, but in this day and age, it's easier for them to get a leg up via social media.
Well, a guy like me that wants to see everyone prosper, I think you're out of line on this, Andy. I think these women work hard. You don't know how many setups and crunches they did to make themselves look good for that bikini.
I'm not saying that they didn't. I'm not saying that they didn't work hard. I'm just saying that.
I ain't saying she ain't no gold digger.
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying if you look at the return on investment, it was way easier for somebody to get an Instagram account to blow up than it was for a guy to bust his ass for 15 years figuring out how to kill birds or catch fish or whatever it is.
Well, my experience has been, and I was told this at Delta, a guy come up to me and he mentioned one of these women influencers. Well, she says this. I don't give two shits what she said. She don't know a fucking thing about killing ducks. She has
know a little bit.
She has nice tits and she goes on some hunts sometimes, but she ain't a fucking expert. You give me old man Carter over there from Carter's Island. I want to talk to him about hunting because he knows about duck hunting and shooting ducks. I want to talk to someone, Stacy Coker, that's got some skin in the game. And I'm not saying there's not women duck hunters that are really good, because I'm sure there are. But the person he was referring to didn't have a fucking clue about shooting a damn thing. Has an Instagram account, and that doesn't make you an expert.
Right.
But
Male or woman.
Yes.
I would say it's valid to hear different perspectives sometimes. So I think for your guys' perspective, like in your guys' position, you want to be able to accomplish, uniqueness to your show. So like listening to, somebody be able to come at it from a different perspective of how they grew up hunting, I think it's like, it adds to the amount of people that want to come out. So I feel like there's got to be, certain individuals, again, like a 24/7, like what they're doing to the industry is actually allowing it to just grow.
Yeah.
And they've done a heck of a job of that, because I feel like every time I'm on their page, it's somebody's first duck, or somebody that, hunting for the first time. And then I go on their page and they're like all about it now. So again, I think but they're, somebody else's perspective of it is still important to help grow the sport and grow the industry. As like you said, it's nice to talk to somebody who knows what's going on. But you would like that, but at the same time, somebody with some different information and different, it's kind of, here's what I'll say is, we talk about in the creative space a lot, like having somebody shoot something for the very first time. They have a very unique and creative and like outlook on your space, because they have a different eye. They've never shot it before. So they come in, they see things a little bit differently than the same person who shot the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, well, how do you mix this up? So that's more so what I'm trying to say is, I think it's nice to have somebody come in with a different look and a different eye and be able to say, like, this is how I see it. It's like, cool.
Right.
Like, we have a different space, different mindset.
Renard's a hunter, and those guys.
Yeah,
are
we've had Renard.
And, oh yeah,
and he's a hunter.
Fucking killer.
He is. He's a good guy, and he's good for what he does, and he has his following. He's smart. But I'm telling you right now, we've had some guys. This ain't just anti-woman. There's some guys we've had on here that don't know shit about waterfowl.
But they were influencers, and
they've been. But we will not have another woman on here as an influencer that does not know what she's doing.
But the problem is that you don't know until you get them on here. So like, I'm all for getting a different perspective and hearing about like how this worked and how that worked. Yeah. But when you've pretended to be an expert on here, and then I'm asking basic questions, and I'm kind of getting this cow look. You ever watch cows in a field? They just kind of have this look about them. And then you realize like, well, you're a fraud. Like you just did these things for Instagram. You only showed everybody your highlight reel. Like there's no depth to you. So when I'm talking to you, and I'm getting one word answers or something like that, it's like, well, what the fuck?
Right.
So
right.
Like I'm all for getting a different perspective from professionals, but talking to people that have pretended to be that, and then like you start talking to them and you're like, you're fake.
Yeah. Let me rephrase, going back and just like thinking about what I was saying about, in the beginning of this conversation, them 24/7 boys can hunt. I'm not saying that. They would not be where they are without being successful in the field and successful in call and also providing, uniqueness and success to the industry. So I definitely wasn't saying that. Them boys can hunt now, but I just think they're providing something, a unique, a different perspective and a different space, different look to where the waterfowl space is, and it's been needed. And that's all I was trying to say.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you can't talk to somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. I mean, you're going to give one word answers. It's like, why are you on here? What have you brought to the space?
Right.
So
it's an interesting time, but it'll all work itself out in the wash.
We need new hunters, and it's great whether we're talking people from different backgrounds, we're talking people from different colors, we're talking about different genders. We need all the hunters we can to come in there. But also as hunters, we need to do a better job of keeping some influencers in check, or all influencers in check. Everybody, if you're trying to tell people how they should do stuff and what they should use and stuff, you should have a little skin in the game. I don't know shit about crocheting, so I'm not going to sit there and fucking go to a crochet and act like I know shit about crocheting, because I don't. Or fishing. I don't know shit about deep sea fishing at all. But with our platform, we could start selling fucking some kind of baits or some shit, and we'd probably sell some. And people think, oh, them guys got a podcast and blah, 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 blah. I don't know shit about it. But there's people that get into it that it just, IG is really, Instagram has done more to change things. And I don't know if it's all for the better. I think we get a really false interpretation of a lot of people.
Yeah,
sure.
They can be what they want to be on Instagram.
Well, I've damn sure
seen that
before.
You get somebody with a big six pack on there, and great genetics, and it's like they can be a fitness influencer. It's like, well, you're 22 years old and dirt poor, and like you don't fucking eat. You don't have money for food. Like, of course you got a six pack. It doesn't make you a fitness guru.
But Renard and them had a dove hunt this weekend or the weekend before I saw on his stuff that was just covered with people there. That's good. It's a great thing. It was a great, great thing. We need more people hunting, no matter where they come from.
People get nervous too. Like whenever like 24/7 or a group like the guys at 24/7 like bursts onto the scene, traditionalists get nervous because they're like, "Well, that's not the way. What we're going to listen to this and we're going to talk about this." So it's funny watching like the old school guys when people like Renard and the 24/7 guys blow up because they're like. They get real nervous about like, well, this isn't how we do things. It's like, why not?
Well, that's exactly what it is. They are new school hunters and they're thriving at it. And it's not the way they do things again with the rap songs and stuff like that. It's like people haven't seen that before, and that's why people struggle with it because it's new. And people always struggle with change. And it's like, if what they're doing to change, if they're changing something, you're doing something new, and it brings more people in, then that's success for all of us. Because in the end, we need people to back us. When that day comes, when people start talking about whether we're going to hunt again or not, we need as many people as possible. So those kinds of people will win, and they win for us. So, yeah, I mean, they've done a lot to make this space more diverse and more unique and allow more people to come along, and that's a win for all of us.
Maybe I should have been easier on the women.
No, you said what you thought.
I think
as the old guy here, I'm stuck in my ways in a lot of ways, but I also notice as I'm getting older, I've become open-minded to things I never would have thought of that I would have been. I've nothing to do with hunting, gay marriage. When I was 25 years old, I thought, screw that shit. As I get older, I don't care who you marry. It doesn't bother me.
Maybe it's just that your shitter starts to break.
I think I don't give a shit so much as much,
Not that you're just like, I don't care what they do. Just
if he wants
stay
to
off my
suck a
lawn.
dick, let him do it. I don't care.
Just stay off my lawn.
Yeah. But
do what you want to do. Be happy.
But then there's the opposite, because there's a lot of older guys that work for me that they dig in on shit.
Yeah.
They don't like any change at all. And they seem to be miserable. Every day they're miserable about something going on. Every day about social shit.
Well, they hate when things change, but they're even more pissed off when things stay the same. So it's like, what are you going to do?
Well, it's not the people that sit in the middle are not the issue. It's people that sit here, and you're like, no one can agree with anything, and these people are equally as pissed off that this happens and then that happens, and it's like there's just so much. The differences are so far and few between that it's like, well, if we had more people in the middle, like, sure, it would be okay. Now it would be a little bit different because it doesn't really matter what these people are doing in the end. That's coming back to a city like Denver kind of opened my eyes a lot, and being around some people that I'm like have some different opinions than me, but also like, damn, you're a good dude, or you have a really unique perspective, and I appreciate you from the female perspective. That's just growth, and like you said, it's growth in my mind. It's maturity. It's whatever. So as a society, there's gonna have to be a breaking point on either way. Someone's gotta.
Well, I mean, I don't agree. I'm not going to agree with everything that you say. I'm not going to agree with everything that Jeff says. But like, you're a good dude. Jeff's a good dude. So it's like we're more common than we're not. We're going to have certain issues that we're going to not see eye to eye on. But that doesn't mean that I want to write you off as a person just because I didn't see a certain issue your way. It's like we agree 96% of the time. Like, we're just not going to talk to each other because of the 4% where we're like, no, I think you're wrong on this.
One of my best buds in the world is Dirk at Boss, and me and Dirk don't have a lot in common, but we do have a lot in common at the same time. But we are completely different on a lot of things, and I enjoy the shit out of visiting and debating with him because I learn a lot. I do, because we are so completely opposite. The guy's got 475 tattoos. I have one. I mean, we just don't have, and I don't know if he's got 475. He might have 550, but I don't have a lot in common with him, but I have so much. And I found that out with a lot of people that think different. We had two guys hunted last year with us, and I never did say nothing to nobody here, but they were gay. And they weren't on their honeymoon, but they were on their whatever the hell that was.
Brocation?
Brocation, I guess is the word. And they were like two, and I had another group of two, and they had to share a room with them. And this old man comes in to me, and he goes, "Hey, I think them guys are gay." I was like, "Why do you think that?" He goes, "Just that gay." And I said, "Okay, like, did they hit on you?" No, nothing like that. I think they're like a couple." And I said, "I think you might be right too." He goes, Do you have a lot of those gay people that hunt with you?" I said, well, they always come in pairs.
We need more of them, though.
He goes, and
Thank you.
this is what he told me when we walked out there. He goes, for gay people, they're really nice.
It's the worst thing you can say.
And I just laughed. And he was, 65, 70 years old, and he didn't. But it was probably the first time in his life that he was really around someone gay, other than in passing. And he was around them a lot, and he ate dinner with them and stuff at night. But it was funny as shit when he come and told me that. He goes, I think they're gay.
Their money spends the same.
Pretty nice guys for gay people.
Yeah. Their check is going to cash just like yours is, buddy.
And they weren't flamboyant or anything. I don't think anybody else knew, and I didn't say nothing. I knew before they got here because the guy told me.
Yeah.
And he didn't come out straight out and say gay. He said, me and my partner are going to be there. And it wasn't a business partner.
You never know.
No, I asked.
What workouts do you do now? Like, you're a professional athlete. You've been fitness freak for your entire life. Like, how do you still try to have that same intensity, or is it just for function?
No, I'm pretty intense still. I've recently grown more, like my mind I really want to feel like a ultra marathon on my body. I think that would be something that until that happens, I will be chasing that. Like, that's on my list. So I've become a lot more of like an endurance person. I enjoy just like really pushing for longer bits of time, but the intensity is still there. Like, this gym has become more of a community for me than anything, where I just love to come here and be social. And a lot of times, like, I don't have day-to-day work. My work it comes and goes. It's, it'll be, you got 5 things to handle here, and I've got nothing to handle for the next 3 days. So being here is like, it's nice to just get out of my house and come and see people and have like it's like social hour. See ya. But for me, that's kind of what it is. And then it's only inevitable for me to come here and like push the bar. Like, I come here to work, and I come here, I'm not wasting time. So I'll go hard. And then I'm hoping to sign up for the Leadville 100 in August next year, and give myself about 8 months to really, right after duck season, finish it or start training and go serious and try and finish it by August of next year.
What is it?
So, the Leadville 100. It's a 100-mile ultra marathon. It's all above like 9,000 feet. It's a tough one, but it's pretty sought after, and a lot of people have, it's on the Cameron Haynes type, it's just like, it's a totally different space, but it's right. I think it's in Colorado. So yeah, that just got kind of not introduced, but like, someone asked me if I wanted to do it and sign up, and I said, sure.
So that's
I'm going to go for it after.
9,200 feet.
Is that at Leadville?
Leadville, Colorado. 9,200 feet is the lowest you'll be.
I think that's the highest city or highest town in America, isn't it?
Ooh, don't give me lying.
I think it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that has a big part of why it's so unique. But yeah, it's all above about 99,000 square feet or 9,000 feet of elevation.
I think their airport's 10,000 plus.
Interesting.
Fuck a bunch of this.
So yeah,
You don't want to do it, Andy?
That seems awful.
Yeah, that's kind of it's been this space that I'm in currently. Like, a lot of people are doing more races and Ironmans and marathons, and so I'm trying to find a way to be competitive and to be able to like compete and get some blood flowing, because without football, it's been kind of like, I just need something to like really get me going. To show up just to work out for an hour every day, it's like, I don't know. People want to go hike, and they just want to hike the hike, and I'm like, hiking the hike is stupid. Right. It's like, for what? To go, I recently did a 14er the other day, or a couple months ago, and I got up to the top, and I was like, yeah, it's it's pretty powerful, and you get up here and like, wow, this is cool, but I'm like, not worth the 10 hours of hiking, or it's like, to go up and go back. I'm like, that was shitty. That was horrible. But everyone was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, this is just not for me. The hike is, I'll hike to hunt. Right. That sounds good to me. I'll hike 10 miles to hunt every day. But to just hike for a view and turn around, I'm like, yeah, not for me. So trying to find things that I can do to be competitive.
What about jujitsu? That's good for a guy.
Yeah, I just don't. Then what? I have to go fight somebody.
No, you can
Like,
do.
where do
you
I?
can do tournaments.
It's like an art, though. It's an art, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a full blown art, but it's like that's people devote their whole life to figuring out to like learning, jiu-jitsu, and it's like it's not. I want to just I don't know. It just doesn't ring a bell to me.
It's
I tell you what.
I've started it again.
Well, I'll take Cam. We go to a bar together, and I can talk shit, and you can just whip their ass. There ain't nobody gonna jump on his big ass. Look at him.
There's always that's the one. I don't agree.
There's
There's always
somebody.
one guy that wants to poke the bear, just to see where they.
There's always somebody.
That's like my brother has. He's got cauliflower pretty bad, and we were in Nebraska at a wedding, and we were at a bar, and somebody in the bar was like, "What's the deal with the cauliflower ears?" And like you can hear them off in the distance, and it's like, "Oh fuck!" Like those should be a deterrent. Like, hey, that's not the guy that you want to go jump on because he's got some experience. And but there's always that level of liquor where the guy's like, fuck him. I want to see what those cauliflower ears are all about.
Yeah, I wrestled in high school growing up through, middle school and all that stuff too. And I, for whatever reason, since I've kind of gotten, this may be a little bit contradicting as to what I've just said, but like the thought of losing, I don't think I could go back to. I love to win, don't get me wrong, but like the thought of going into something where it's 1v1 and I have the potential of losing, I think I would I don't want to.
Right.
Like that's how much I hate losing. So I think the 1v1 battling, like when you're running ultra marathon, you're win. If you finish, you win. That is a win. Like that is, no one cares who got first, second, third, fourth. Like you finish, you won. And that to me, like me versus me, that's all I care about right now. And so that's why I'm going into jiu-jitsu or wrestling or whatever it may be. And like that art is special, but it's like, I don't want to fucking lose.
Right.
Anybody.
And that's the worst part about it is that you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
You're gonna lose.
You've got a great base because you wrestled, you played football professionally. I'm sure you're strong as an ox, quick as a cat. But like, there's going to be somebody there that just knows how to manipulate their body and do everything that you do and use it against you. So I get what you're saying. Like 1v1 is no good, but like you versus yourself, that's where you're at in the headspace. I picked up jiu-jitsu because I'm 35 years old and like I need something to get we don't have any gyms here or anything, so it's like the best that I'm going to get is however much I can pour on my body. So it's like jiu-jitsu to me was a way of kind of adding another element to my workouts and maybe learning how to do something to where I won't get fucking strangled or beat to death on the off chance that I ever do have to do something in the street. Cause like I'm 35, I'm not looking for a fight, but I don't want to be the person that has to run away from it either. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, that to me though, on the streets, like I'm not running away from anything. You fucking me up, I'll get back up. But like, especially depending on who's around, like if I don't have kids, but if I had kids in front of me and some guy wanted to test me, it's like, I'll go until I can't, but I'm not, my kids are not going to see their dad run away. That's whether I know jiu-jitsu or not, I'm going to turn around and let's go.
See, and I got 2 kids and a wife, and like it's getting sketchy out there. So you gotta be ready.
I don't know shit about jiu-jitsu. I know about Smith & Wesson, but I don't have the ability to walk away. I have the ability to try to use some common sense. My biggest fear is if I'm ever going to be somewhere where something happens and there's a victim and I try to take up for them and get my ass beat, because I'm not going to sit there and let an innocent person get attacked. I don't give a shit what it is. I just can't do it. Especially a guy hitting a woman. Did you see that video of that guy knocked that woman out the other day?
Which one?
There's in a parking lot. They're everywhere. And these people sitting there videoing and don't do shit.
So, Jeff, let me ask you this, and I'll ask you the same question, Cam. There was a big brawl at the Commanders game. 2 men are fighting, and a woman starts like punching over the back of the guy. The guy takes her and pushes her down the stairs. And everybody's like, to me,
he didn't do nothing wrong. He was defending himself. She
push her down the stairs. And then I think like she got up and tried to throw some more. I think he might have hit her. whenever she started. She got back up in the stairs, got in his face, I think, and then he knocked her out.
I've never touched a woman in my life, ever. And I can't imagine a man hitting a woman at all. I cannot understand, though, women put themselves in situations. That guy shouldn't have to. I got hit by a girl at a frat party one night. That bitch hit me right in the fucking nose. We had a big fight break out. Me and her boyfriend got into a fight, and that bitch hit me in a crowd, and she knocked me right in the fucking eyes. She hit harder than her husband did. Fucking nose was bleeding and shit from a ring cut me. But I didn't hit her, and I wasn't going to hit her, but somebody grabbed her and pulled her back. But it's women shouldn't put themselves in that situation.
That's what I agree. That's what I say. If you don't want what's coming, don't put yourself in that position.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's like when your buddy is fighting somebody, you don't come up behind him and grab him, because what's the first thing he's going to do is throw an elbow, turn around. Like you're in full on like defense mode, and so when you come around somebody, he doesn't know who that is. So I definitely don't condone if you rightfully knew that this was a woman attacking him. Then like who are you trying to prove to hit her? But like she's sure as hell shouldn't be coming around somebody and like just because you know that you can't get hit, you can hit somebody. Right. It's like I don't agree with that, because you're just kind of abusing the right, I guess. Right. But you shouldn't be coming around somebody that they don't know and they're in full red mode. Right. It's like that's a dangerous place to be with somebody who's fighting somebody else, probably with some liquor involved, and you're going to come behind them and start adding to the fire. Then
bad things are going to happen.
You don't know what you're going to get from that
guy. This
guy.
one didn't come from behind. She hit me face to face. She got in my face and she punched me. And they had my hands back because me and him had been fighting, and they kind of hold me back. And all I see is this fist coming at me with all these rings on it and ka-toom.
And that's the thing that doesn't make sense. Like when your buddy's fighting, why are you going to grab him? Because like he's just going to get decked. You're taking away his defense. It's like, oh no, they don't fight. And then it's like, wham, the guy that he was squared off.
Oh, it wasn't my buddies holding me.
But no, I'm just saying in general, like you try to break up a fight and be a good Samaritan, like you grab your buddy and it's like he gets fucking cold cocked. Like, well,
but I
took away his offense.
But these videos, these women getting hit on the streets, guys, old people getting punched and shit. I saw a guy walking down the street the other day and punched some old man in New York City, and people just watching him.
Yeah,
someone ought to cold cock that son of a bitch. He deserves everything he gets.
Well,
it's assuming you live in some small towns, but the small town vibe and what happens in the city is just filled with different people, right? That's
yes,
like that's the obvious statement, but that kind of stuff doesn't happen in small towns for whatever reason. But you go into a city and your vibe changes too. Like I don't know why. It's like you almost just don't want to be a part of something like that. So it's like you and that's I'm assuming what it would be is like no one helps because they just don't want to have more on their plate. Right. And everyone, it's just a selfish world that we live in. Everyone's just worried about themselves. But yeah, it's a different world too. God, we live in a scary world. We were driving around last night. We had a get together and we got a box of pizza. So we were just going to drive around and like find a homeless person to give it to. And I was like just looking for somebody who looked like they were hungry. And everyone, I'm driving around, it's like everybody's tweaking out. I'm like, you don't even care about this pizza. You're gonna give it away for more drugs. Like that's so. We drove around for 30 minutes to look for somebody. We had a full box of pizza to give it to, and I couldn't find a single person that didn't look like they were almost like they wanted to be on the streets.
Right.
It's like, man, you look like you have a pretty good life. You're like, you don't need this pizza. And the homeless population in Denver's out of control. But to drive around for 30 minutes in the heart of Denver and be like, I don't see a single person who's even worthy of this pizza, like kind of thing. So it's just a different world we live in.
Dude, in the big cities, like in small town America, if you're a tweaker, you have a fucking Huffy bike. They ride bikes everywhere. And they're not like Greg LeMond and fucking Lance Armstrong riding a bike. They're on a fucking kid that in junior 12-year-old rides bike, BMX bike and stuff like that. Right. In the big cities, is it that way too? Are all the meth heads and shit riding bikes everywhere?
No, they just walk around and yell.
That's just
yell.
They just
they just
scream. Yeah, they just yell at things.
It's so
you have no idea. I'm like, I wonder how freeing that is. That you're just in the city screaming. And you can just like, I mean, you hear people like they're yelling like they're talking to this big audience and just no one's around. I'm like, man, I could not imagine where you are mentally right now. That's what you're you're so far gone that you're sitting here and you think you're talking to thousands of people, and you're on the street with nobody around.
Have you?
I'm like, man, that must be interesting.
I saw a lady in Central Market in South Lake, which is a well-to-do area in Dallas, on Tuesday. We went to the grocery store there, and we're in there, and there's this lady when we first walk in the door, and she's standing in front of the door talking to another lady. And you know those chicks that you see, those older women that you know they're high maintenance? They got all the fucking Botox lips, her face don't move when they talk. They got, you know, a 65-year-old woman with 2-year-old titties. I mean, it was what the common deal was. And she was when we walked in, she just kept blocking the way, and we had to go around her and shit. And I told Michelle, I said, that's a pretentious old broad right there. Well, I hear some talking, and I look, and she's in this aisle, and she's talking to someone as loud as you can, and she's got her hands and shit going. And I looked around the deal, and there was nobody there.
Oh Lord!
She was just talking to herself. Told Michelle, said, that old bitch is crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming she was strung out on something. But looked like she had a lot of money. But we are in a sick fucking world, just like the tweakers and stuff. I grew up a long time ago. When I was a kid growing up, homeless person was very rare to see. Even if you went to the big cities, there was some hobos, they called them, and they were around the train yards and stuff. But you go, they're everywhere now. Small towns, big towns, everywhere's got homeless people, and it's just so socially accepted. And I don't know if we'll ever fix that problem.
No, I don't think so, because like I said, when I was driving around last night, I go, these people don't look like they're miserable. Right. They look like they're having a hoot, like they're having a good time. Like they've got like bonfires and peeping, like they've got their little homies running around. I'm like, man, these people look like they're living their own like good life. Yeah. Like they've created a new form of like what it is to be free. And I'm like, this doesn't look like they're like miserable and stressed out. Like being on the streets is something that they can't stand. It's like, I'm like, you look happy. I mean, you look tweaked, but like you look happy. Like you look like you're actually living your best life in your eyes. And it's like, man, that's weird.
Well, I think that's a
different thing.
I think a lot of people were aiming at that. Like that's kind of, they were socially outcast, and it's no big deal because it is so comfortable out there now. Because whether it be government subsidies and, like you said, the cities, and I mean, not many people are going hungry anymore.
No. Oh no! Well, I'm driving around looking for somebody to give a pizza to last night, and no one ended up getting it. I ended up eating it because I literally couldn't find anybody. But which I'm not proud of, by the way. So
what kind of pizza was it?
Yeah, it's just it was it was a Papa John's or something like that. It was like barbecue chicken and a pepperoni, like half of a pepperoni too. And I was like, I think it's become like, I had this conversation with Trinity, my girlfriend. I'm like, would you rather live on the streets or be in prison? And she had her own ways and kind of different. It was different to hear like the gender differences of why she would rather live in prison than be on the streets. And like, okay, those are valid points, because for a male to go to prison, that's scary. Yeah. Like, I'm not trying to have to deal with everybody who's bigger than me and also had like killed somebody. I'm like, I don't know if I would do that, but I think I could live on the streets for a year if I had to. But and then the conversation ended, and we're like, let's just not talk about this anymore, because it was like so like sickening of like, man, what if it happened? Like how we would do it? But again, there's so many, the population of it is so drastically, it's grown so fast that again, it's almost like there's like word of like, and I'm it's more societal than anything. It's systemic, I guess, but like, why are there so many? Why does it seem like it just every day there seems to be more people? Is it just because of the world that we live in? Like it's harder to make it as an individual. Sure. Yes. It's expensive out there, but is that the only reason, or is it just drugs? Like why do people seem to be growing and living on the street more than ever?
You said it, drugs. We had a homeless guy on the podcast with us a couple of years ago. And he lived in Austin, Texas.
He had an iPhone.
And he had an iPhone, so it was homeless with an iPhone is what we call
it.
They
all have iPhones.
Yep. Yeah.
They all have iPhones.
And he talked about his life, and he was I'm sure he
was on the street.
Pot,
he was on the street by choice.
By choice. And he said that, but he said the meth heads have ruined it for us.
Yeah.
When he was homeless, he lived in a tent. He didn't want to be in society. He didn't want a car payment, a house payment, had an electric bike. He could charge it up at wherever, at a store, at 7-Eleven or something. But he liked his life.
Had Wi-Fi at Starbucks. So, I mean, he had the whole.
But he said the meth heads have ruined it for him, because now they're people that don't fit into society because they stay stoned all the time. You know,
Yeah.
he wanted to be homeless.
Yeah. I've heard crazy things that people that stay on the side of roads or on the edge of the freeway, those people make good money.
Yeah.
I've heard that they'll make $50,000 to $80,000 a year just standing there and begging for
with a
money.
sign.
You gotta, yeah.
We were at this.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard that they make a living.
Yeah.
And they can function.
We were at the stock show in Houston, 10, 12 years ago probably, and there was a guy there by the stock show, which is at NRG Field or whatever the football field is in Houston, right there in that neighborhood over there. And there was a McDonald's. We went through the McDonald's or Whataburger or something. We came out, and there was a guy there, and he was begging for money. So Michelle said, get him a hamburger or something and put $20 in the bag that you give him and stuff. And we were in line to give him his food. We were going to give him his food. It was a turn lane, and I watched I watched him pick a wad of bills out of his car, and it looked like a damn doorman at the Bellagio in Las Vegas. He had a wad of freaking money and stuff.
Crazy.
I kept the fucking hamburger and the $20 bill. But he was clocking a lot, is what he was doing.
Why if that's your goal, why wouldn't you just like save up for 18 months and go to like Costa Rica or something? Like, why would you want to be homeless in Denver? It snows in Denver. Go to, say, Bon Voyage, go to Costa Rica and be a bum
Because
down
if
there.
you go to Costa Rica and you're a bum and you don't make it, tough shit. The government ain't going to give you shit.
Oh, maybe that is it. I don't know, though. Like, I went to Costa Rica, and it's a different vibe. Like, we were there during the week, and there wasn't a whole lot of people. Like, it was not uncommon to go through a town and see all of the houses have people sitting on the stoop.
Yeah, but did you see them begging?
But they got it. I mean, I don't know where they're getting their money from, is what I'm saying. It was like a Tuesday. We went through a town and everybody was sitting outside. Guys were sweeping off the stoop. That was another cool thing to see. Like, you drive through the towns, everybody's sweeping off their stoop.
On Tuesdays, though, nobody works in Costa Rica. Everybody knows
Whatever. Fuck off. And it might not have been a Tuesday, but I don't know why you'd want to be homeless in Denver.
LA's the big place.
I don't either.
LA would be good.
Sacramento. Northern California is not very good either. It's every time I go back, it seems to grow and get worse in the homeless population as well. Going to Minneapolis, I'll say, like, it's too damn cold up there. Yeah. There's nobody, and then it's too far from everything else. So, like, there's no reason to go there during the summer because they're just gonna have to turn around and go somewhere else. So I walked. I mean, last time I was in Minneapolis, I realized like how vacant it was. Very like eerie. Whether for whatever reason it is, but I was walking around like, man, the streets are clean, but there's nobody out here, right. And it was like kind of uncomfortable feeling. Like it was like apocalypse kind of feel. Like everyone's like in their house. It was weird.
So,
but
where did you grow up at? You grew up in California, right?
Yeah, just northeast of Sacramento, about 30 minutes.
From someone that's not a California resident, never lived there, been there a couple of times. I'm not a big fan to go back to California because, especially like San Francisco or something, I can't imagine what 20 years from now what California is going to look like, because they're at a tipping point where the beggars and the stealers are going to pass the taxpayer up. I mean, they got to be getting really close anyways now, but they can't keep up this trend they're going where everybody bails out everybody that doesn't want to do shit, and we give them, and they overtax the hell out of everybody there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the unfortunate piece is that the people that would change California are leaving.
Yeah, they left.
So, or have already left. So, unfortunately, like my mom, sister, and dad, they all live in California still. But unfortunately, it's like, you know, when I listen to my dad complain about or talk about what's going on in California, it's kind of like, well, it's not like it's going to change, because everybody who, you know, the common, or like the group of people that could make a change or do anything are gone. They're in Idaho or Nevada or, you know, Texas, like that's, and then you see the rare people that move from California and then they go to Texas and they want to change Texas as well. It's like, you just left the place that you want to change. Like, why are you going to change it? That was a big issue when we went to Austin. We lived in Austin or just outside Austin for a little bit, and we're like, this is like, Austin is like San Francisco and LA combined. Yeah. I'm like, this place is worse than like anywhere that I could have ever imagined. It's like, why are you leaving a place? And it's almost like, seems like it's like part of the agenda. Like, let's go to Texas and try and change it.
Austin used to have a motto back in the early 80s, Austin, keep Austin weird. Now they should say keep Austin fucked up, because it's the most fucked up place in Texas, and we don't want it.
I think that there's got to be something to this, because I think people, like you said, people leave California and then they come here. So there's got to, like, we all agree California's gone too far in whatever they've done for people to leave like they do. But for people to take their politics with them, there has to be like one step back that everybody's comfortable with. And they're like, okay, this is acceptable to do, but like it leads you down to the inevitable end of it being like California in the end. So like as a Texan that's been here my entire life, you know, conservative views, you know, I went to college, so I'm fiscally conservative, probably socially a little bit more liberal than Jeff is. I definitely say that. So but like, we all agree California has done stuff and they've gone too far. But then people leave and then they go to a place like Austin and everybody's like, well, you're bringing what you left. So there's got to be like a step back or two back that is wrong.
The whole world's that way, though. You look at Europe right now, the Muslim influx, they're leaving all them Muslim countries where they're shitholes. And everywhere the Muslims go to, they turn it into a shithole. You can go to Benghazi, you can go to Tripoli, you can go to all them places. When it was ran by Christians, they weren't bad places. But when the Muslims have taken over, they turn them into third world shitholes. Well, guess what they do? Then they move to places like Dearborn, Michigan, like Minneapolis, the Somalians there, and they ruin those places. The whole community's ruined, and everybody knows it, but everybody's afraid to fucking say something because they're afraid they're going to offend somebody. I'm not worried about offending anybody. If you're offended, turn the fucking thing off. But it's a shithole now, and that's what's happened in Austin, Texas.
I understand.
It's not the Muslims, though, but you're right. But I don't know how you come back from it. I did see today where...
I'm just trying to figure out what the idea is that is wrong that leads to California in 20 years. Because it's like you have this mindset, and then that progresses and progresses and progresses, and then before you know it, you're...
What I think the difference is between California and New York and Austin, or like where that goes is the elite, is the celebrities, because these people end up ruining it. Because it doesn't make any sense why you know they're all talking about taxing the rich. I'm like, you're the fucking rich.
Right.
Like, you're wearing shirt, you got whatever AOC wearing all kinds of weird shit, and I'm like, you're literally who they're talking, like who you want like less of a life for you. Right. It's like, I don't understand. It's, you know, it's back when Bernie Sanders was talking about taxing millionaires, tax millionaires. Then he became a millionaire, and now he's like, tax billionaires.
Right.
It's like, you know, you're just, in the end, it's like, these are the people that have with the power that have fucked up California, because, you know, you have goofy people in California, goofy people everywhere. But to say like why it's so different, it's because you take away the true elite that live in California, and they're the ones that have the power to do whatever they want. And I think it's where it becomes a scary place.
I just figured it out. It's these people can make the rules, but they don't have to live in the shithole that they create.
You're right.
So it's like, yes, exactly right. I agree. We should have more Muslims from Somalia here, but it's like, I live in a gated community, so like it's not going to affect me if this happens. And so all of this, or tax the rich, or do this, or, you know, attack Elon Musk. So it's like, yeah, go do all that, but it's not going to affect me at the end of the day.
New York City is a perfect example right now. They wanted this sanctuary city, but now all of a sudden they're a sanctuary city. Like, well, we can't handle this.
They were for sanctuary cities when it was in Texas.
Yes, that's it's easy. But you look at Oprah Winfrey, and I'm not going to bag on Oprah because I don't know much about her, but Joy Behar, we'll use her as an example, because Oprah is very, very wealthy lady. But Joy Behar, I don't watch The View, and I'm never going to watch The View, but I see some of her snips and the shit she bitches about. Has Joy Behar ever created a job in her life? She makes a lot of money at someone else's expense, ABC or whoever the fuck has The View on. But has she ever created a job? But it's real simple for people like that to say, we need to tax these corporations. And those corporations provide jobs that creates taxpayers that pay the bills. John Kerry, for example, he's the climate czar. He flies all over in a private fucking jet. He don't give two shits about the rules or laws because they don't apply to him because he's got so much money. Right. If I had $1 billion fucking dollars and you wanted to tax me extra, I wouldn't care because it's not going to affect me either way.
Right.
And
Right.
you go to Beverly Hills, and you've been to Beverly Hills a whole bunch, I'm sure, in your life living in L.A. How many homeless people have you seen in Beverly Hills? That's right. They keep them out of there. The cops keep it. It's a clean.
Yeah.
When you drive, when I was in L.A., that's what I noticed. You drive through the shithole neighborhoods, and all of a sudden, boom, everything's manicured and beautiful. The cops are brand new cars. You got no homeless people. You can jog. You know, why can't you jog down Watts?
Yeah, you got 80-year-old Al Pacino fucking taking his morning walk every day. Well, he ain't doing that down Hollywood Boulevard.
Fuck no.
No. Well, that's the biggest thing about, Gavin. As Gavin, you look at Gavin Newsom, and he talks about wanting to fix whatever, but yet he doesn't see it in El Dorado Hills in his multi-million-dollar house. El Dorado Hills is on the up and coming of being the next Hollywood Hills type vibe. Like, it is really grown, and it's a smaller town, or it's a smaller place, but it's beautiful, and it's lots of trees, and it's forests, and it's beautiful. And that's all my dad will talk about. It's like, he doesn't care because he doesn't see it. Because there's not a single homeless person in his neighborhood. Yeah. There's not a single homeless person in El Dorado Hills because he doesn't allow it.
Yeah.
So in the end, he doesn't care what they're doing because he doesn't see it. And in the end, when people are forking money off and he just puts it back into his little pocket, which I'm not accusing that, but I wouldn't have doubted it. But that's how they live, and they make it, and life is cool for them because they don't have to deal with anything.
Yeah. They
just call the shots, and then they don't have to abide by them.
They're too insulated.
All the
their
politicians are like that. Like Nancy Pelosi, she's a fucking cunt. We all know that shit. But she don't have a clue what's going on with her constituents, and she don't care. She doesn't give two shits what's going on, and none of those people do. AOC, she's down with the people. She ain't down with the fucking people. She's making $3, $4, $5 million a year on the side now. They don't care.
No.
And if I could get that gig, I would do the same fucking thing. Senator Jeff Stanfield, I'd be a no good, sorry bastard.
That's exactly the thing. It's like, when do we take away the power, control, and money that politicians have? Because in the end, like, that's not, when this country was founded, you didn't go to be a politician to be powerful and rich.
No. You did it
but
because
now
of
it is.
calling.
Now you do it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is my passion. This is something that I'm interested in. Now you see it like, why do you want to be a politician? Because I want to be freaking powerful, right. And I don't want to be touched. And I want to have as much money as I possibly can. And it's like, you shouldn't do this to be rich.
No,
but
got to take away insider trading. Like, that's number one. People, they should not be able to vote on things that they have a direct influence over.
Our politicians, when
anyone stop it?
When our country was founded, what made our country so great was the people in charge. They had a vested interest in our country growing and everybody being good. So if you took John Adams off his tobacco farm or whatever he did, and it's crazy because a lot of those early presidents all come out of Virginia, right south of D.C., and I've been there, and there's 3 or 4 presidents all grew up within like 10 miles of each other, 15. Those guys were farmers and stuff. So they were doing what's best for them, which was best for our country, which was watching it grow and build business and commerce. These people today have never had a fucking job. They don't know, I don't have a problem with John Tester from Montana being a Democratic senator if he was doing what's best for Montana. But he's doing what's best for fucking Chuck Schumer. He don't care about Montana. And the same with Republican guys like Mitch McConnell. But if you were there and really did what's good for our people, there's a lot of easy fixes to fix our fucking country. But they're all bought and paid for by lobbyists.
Yeah, they're at fault just as much as the left is.
Yes.
And the way I look at it, like, they're about the sorriest, softest people in this country for you to sit there and whatever kind of gun they have to your head, like, I don't.
Elizabeth Warren,
You're
here it is.
Clearly benefiting.
Elizabeth Warren's calling for an investigation of Elon Musk. Well, she's been in Congress 10 years. Her salary is $193,000 a year. She has managed to increase her net worth to $73 million.
Yep, that's she's one of the problems right there. But they're all like that.
Yeah,
we could go
both sides.
I've never been to Oakland, California, but I'm assuming it's turned into a pretty shitty place. You could go to the shittiest part of Oakland, and you could go to a Walmart if they're still open with all the shoplifters and they're still in business, and you could randomly pick 574 fucking people out of there and replace everyone in Congress and the Senate, and we would have a better Congress and the Senate within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's just a bad deal.
It is. All right, Cam, we're gonna start wrapping up here. You got fly fishing going up. When's that going? The next couple weeks?
Yeah, it's October 3rd through 10th. I have a couple elk hunts at the end of the month here, and then a couple different things that are on a totally different side of where my career is going.
What is that?
Outside of photography.
Can you talk about it?
Some more like producing type stuff. Yeah, I have just had some. I think just wanted to kind of grow more in the space of cinematography without having to be a videographer or cinematographer. So I've kind of taken we have some projects with a group of guys that I've been working with, and I'm kind of taking this role of like producing and looking at schooling options and really actually trying to take it more serious and maybe even use my USC connections to figure out some way just to grow in that space. So I don't really want to speak too much on it because there's a lot that still needs to be handled and it's kind of out of my control too. So, but I'm hoping to continue to grow and just become, I don't know, do something on a grander scale. That's like we barely touched on kind of my beef with the outdoor industry and where it is in a creative space. And, I think that the bar is being pushed and set in so many other ways elsewhere. And I kind of want to be a part of it somewhere else. So
you're cinematography, you're going to leave the outdoor space for this, or you're going to bring your cinematography into the outdoor space?
I think I'm chasing the experience outside of this, and then I'm hoping to then eventually be able to bring it back, do some more storytelling. We have some projects coming up that are kind of focused on one project we have is kind of this cultural fishing space where there's so many different pieces, so many different types of Americans in America. You've got people in Alaska that live their life totally different way, East Coasters, people in the South, people in Hawaii. Like there's all these different types of individuals that call themselves Americans, and what we want to try and do is use the fishing space to kind of identify those differences and speak more about cultural what people do as Americans. So there's some projects there that I hope to just gain some experience in a different space on a more kind of legit, like very high scale, and then kind of be able to come back and bring it in. So like I said, maybe even trying to go back to school. USC has a really, really great cinematography program and film program. So there's hopefully have the chance to use some connections there and maybe get me into some programs and kind of grow my knowledge, grow my experience, and step it up a bit. So cool. Just food for thought. It's kind of something that I'm chewing on and hoping to. I've just never been the kind of guy that can be happy with where I'm at. I guess I'm just always trying to get better and grow and push the bar for myself as well. So we'll see where it goes, but I'm excited. It gives me something to chase.
That sucks a little bit though, doesn't it? Like, because you never can take that second of just like appreciating where you are, because you're always on to the next.
Yeah, I think being in Denver actually has kind of like shown me I think it's after seeing what life is like without some really small things like a TV or like a kitchen or a truck, like having a van, living in the van and having that kind of life and realizing like this is not what I want. Being able to sit on the couch and cook in the kitchen is like, man, this is really nice. And so I've allowed myself a little bit more to like just to be here in the present and appreciate what I do have, because for a couple months, a year, I didn't have it. So that was all like supposed to be the way it was. And I think, yes, you always should, in my opinion, you should always grow and continue to push the bar and push yourself, because if you're just staying stagnant and you're just remaining constant, then you're not doing really anything. So, but finding ways to not just love the process, but to also appreciate the end result. Because I think that's a lot of people struggle with just being so obsessed with the idea. Then you get to the idea and you're there and you're like, oh, this is not what I was expecting. I want more now. So finding a way to appreciate it is hard, but it's necessary.
Cool deal, man. Well, so you keep killing it out there. You're doing great. And we'd love to talk to you again, get some of these projects, get a little bit closer to having a definite idea what these are going to look like, and we can get you back on here and talk about all that stuff. Have a great waterfowl season. Enjoy your time out in Missouri. Stay healthy out there, and stay safe.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Hey, bud, we appreciate it.
Always
Thank
a
you
pleasure
very
talking
much.
to you.
Great podcast.
Yeah.
God bless you, my friend.
Thanks, sir. Bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Cam Smith.
Really nice guy.
He is.
Very, very, very nice.
Bit of a
guy.
deep thinker,
Yeah.
which I appreciate.
That's a lot like you.
A little bit like me, but
You did get it right. You are a little less conservative than I am.
a little less.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so?
I think it depends on
What's our percentage today?
what?
Are we under 20% on the flat Earth deal?
On what?
On the
Oh,
flat
flat Earth?
Yeah. Just question, because I have people all the time ask me what position you at. 15%.
I have not
now?
moved.
You're still 23%.
23%
Okay.
is where I'm going to stay.
All right.
That's not a conservative or a liberal policy.
No. I know that. There's conservatives and liberals both on that. I got to go put some eye drops in. I got dust in them.
Okay.
So that's it.
All right.
God bless you. Next week we've got. I don't even know my schedule for next week. Oh, next week me and you have plans on Wednesday, so no podcast Wednesday.
We have plans on
Yes, we are doing a school assembly. I'll explain to you.
Okay. This is an off-air deal.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya. Peace. Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, go check out our sponsors. Go look at Boss Shot Shells, Pacific Calls, Dive Bomb Industries, Dirty Duck Coffee, Shin Gear, Looking Glass Podcast, Lucky Duck, Ducks Unlimited, Double T British Kennels, Mossberg, Stanfield Outfitters, Alpha Outdoor Specialties, and Hemp Hill Farm.